What's going on, everyone? Track announcer Matt Dinerman here at Oaklawn in the Oaklawn Today studios. Another edition of Out of the Starting Gate sponsored by Oaklawn Park. We've got some good performances, some noteworthy efforts to go over from last week, and then a few big races this week, which figure to attract some interest amongst the horse players and fans nationwide, with a number of high-quality horses in major races this week here at Oaklawn. So let's get to the action, shall we? We'll start with this past week, going over in chronological day order: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll go to Thursday afternoon. It was a good card for a Thursday. Quite a few high-quality races on Thursday, this past Thursday. And in race number 5, a first-level allowance for 3-year-old sprinters, we saw a $1.3 million two-year-old in training sale purchase, Stradale, running an allowance race. He'd broken his maiden at Churchill Downs a couple starts back, was most recently seen running third in the Ed Brown Stakes to a well-regarded horse named Boyd for Bob Baffert, and comes off of freshening in this event here. He's in the red, white, and blue here with Keith Asmussen aboard, and Stradale earned a 91 buyer for this. Really blew his doors off the competition here, and he didn't get the easiest trip. He sort of broke just a tad bit slow, was behind horses. I thought this was a great learning experience for him. Got to split horses, get some dirt in his face, and still ran on as a good horse here, a son of Yaupon. With that in mind, the Yaupons, they don't really go that far. We haven't seen them going longer distances, and Yaupon himself with a sprinter, but they're very, very fast horses. So Stradale, he is one that we're going to want to watch out for. I'd imagine he'd run in a stake next time out, very much likely going one turn. I'm sure a trainer like Steve Asmussen, who knows his horses from head to toe, I'm sure he's going to take what I call the Valentine Candy route. He trained Valentine Candy a couple years ago to win a number of sprint stakes, and I'd imagine Stradale, they're just going to keep him at one turn and try to pound out one after the other those stakes victories at one-turn distances. Stradale, very, very nice horse, clearly breezed with that $1.3 million purchase in mind as a 2-year-old in training, breezed like a horse that had a lot of ability, and so far he has shown that he is getting better, as we saw in that last race, earning that career-high 91 buyer. In race number 7 on the program, 2 races later, we saw a Grade 1 winner, Saudi Crown, for trainer Brad Cox, make his 2026 debut, and it was a winning one. Here's the replay. Saudi Crown got a 101 buyer for this gate-to-wire score. He won the Pennsylvania Derby in 2024. Last year was second in the Grade 3 Oaklawn Mile. He is possible to return next month on Arkansas Derby Day in the Oaklawn Mile. This was just very much customary from him. He had a number of 5-furlong works at Brad Cox's string at Payson Park in Florida leading up to this. Payson Park, a little bit of a deeper surface, so the times you're going to see in the mornings there aren't going to be nearly as fast as some other racetracks around the country that you'll see in terms of times. Like, for example, Fairgrounds posts some fast times. Churchill Downs, you can work pretty swift. Not really the case at Payson. So this horse, a number of 5-furlong works, but with that deep surface in mind, coming here to Oaklawn, he was going to be fit with all those 5-furlong works in mind. Probably got a lot of fitness out of working in the mornings at Payson, and he ran like he was plenty fit, earning his typical triple-digit buyer on his best day. Ran a good race. He got a clear lead, and he beat Ben Doog, a nice horse in his own right, who was just second best to this guy here, Saudi Crown. Good to see he's still got it at age 5. So Saudi Crown, he is one that you're going to want to keep an eye out for throughout the year. I'd imagine he's the type of horse you'll see at middle distances going a mile, mile and a 16th. I don't think he's one that really wants to go much further than a mile and an eighth. Saudi Crown, nice win in that ratings handicap race with a good speed figure. We turn the page to Friday, and in race number 8, we saw a good group of maiden special weight fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up here. Bill Mott, who really has horses most of the time in either New York or Florida in the wintertime, he's sent a few horses here, and he's actually got one very live horse in a big race this week we'll talk about in a little while, but he sent a string of 4 or 5 here from his base in Florida to run in some races, and they have been firing on all cylinders. Let's take a look at his winner here in race number 8, maiden special weight runners here. She's a Gemma by Nyquist, ran a hole in the wind for this 9-length victory. Louise Saez was aboard. Was making her 4th lifetime start. She faded in two one-turn miles at Aqueduct, and in her only other race, lost by a head sprinting. And she was sprinting here. She got an 89 buyer. Obviously, this filly, based on her first 4 races in her career, it looks like one turn's what she wants to do. It looks like sprinting's what she wants to do. You question, with this huge effort here, going in the sprint game, how's she going to fare against winners? This was not the strongest group, in my opinion, by any means, but the way she did it was the right way. So she's a Gemma, ran a career best race by far. Very big effort from her on this particular day. Maybe she's going in the right direction. Maybe they found that sprinting's what she wants to do. But those 2 races at the 1-turn mile just really didn't fare for her that well. So I'm thinking they're going to keep her sprinting. And looking at this filly here, I think she'd be a legit candidate to run in a stake down the road going 1 turn. Race number 9, we go to older fillies and mares. This was a ratings handicap race that came up really strong. We've talked about having a couple of these rating handicap races here at Oaklawn. Let's take a look at this win here by Esternia. She got a 93 buyer for this. Beat Filly Crystal, who had won an allowance race in her last start and has career best form right now. Esternia also defeated Benedetta, who was last year's American Beauty Stakes winner. And Benedetta had an excuse. She acted up in the gate before the race, and maybe mentally that took it out of her game a little bit. I'm thinking that Esternia has a good chance to run in the Matron Stakes. That'll be on Fantasy Day, which is a day before the Arkansas Derby. Esternia, very hard-fought win here. She seems to me like one of these mares that's a little bit of an in-betweener. She's good enough to run in stakes and do well in stakes, but she's not really quite fast enough to be a graded stakes type. She's probably not going to beat legit graded stakes caliber fillies, but she's surely better than the average allowance horse. So she's sort of one of those in-betweeners. I thought Esternia ran a gallant race here. She had to dig in. She found more. She's never one that's going to blow her doors off the company, at least at this point in her career, but she's going to give you a solid effort pretty much every time. I think Randy Morse has done a terrific job with this mare. Esternia getting the win there. Could see her next in our big sprint stake for fillies and mares on Fantasy Day. That is, again, the Matron Stakes. On Saturday afternoon, our biggest race of the week was the $400,000 Grade 2 Azeri Stakes. We got quite a few performances to talk about here for this one. Majestic Oops. Wow, you want to talk about a runner that has fantastic form for trainer Dan Ward here. Got a 94 buyer for this 9-1 upset. She had come off a huge race in the American Beauty sprinting when she won for fun. This past year's, of course, American Beauty. The Benedetta race was last year in that American Beauty edition. A Majestic Oops, she can run well on the fast going, but she also showed she can run well on the wet going here, as well as sprinting or routing. She can run her best race in either. Very versatile filly. I tweeted it out on X. This filly here, when she first started her career, she was running for $12,500 at Golden Gate Fields, where I was calling before I was here at Oaklawn. So this filly, talk about one that has just improved with time and gone on to be a terrific race mare, clearly. She is now an Apple Blossom handicap candidate. With that race in mind that we just saw, I would imagine if she can run back to that she's going to pick up another good paycheck in the Apple Blossom. I think Dan Ward has done a phenomenal job with this mare. Was previously trained by Ed Moger Jr. Ed transferred this horse over to Dan, and this mare has just been rolling, and she has very good form right now. So well done to Dan Ward and the whole team back there associated with his barn. A Majestic Oops getting the win there. Regaled, who ran second, you saw her come with a flying finish. Won easily the Delaware Handicap, a Grade 3 in the wet going, and she ran in the wet going here. Ran a good race. She is one that wants to sit off, way far back, make a run. If you put her too close, she's not going to have that finishing ability. So she just had a little bit too much to do to catch Majestic Oops, but I thought she put up her A race. Nitrogen, she sort of came up with her B race on this particular day. She got hammered in the wagering. I was shocked she was 1-5 first click of the tote board, and that she continued to stay those low odds. Went off at 1-2, I believe it was. Way too low. I thought she'd be even money 6-5. I thought 1-2 was a ridiculously low price on a very nice filly, no doubt about that. But you had other really nice horses in this race too, and she just broke sort of flat, just a step slow. I noted it in the race call right away. Majestic Oops, she broke a length in front of Nitrogen right out of the gate. She had a length on her, and Nitrogen, she got a little bit keen between horses. Jose Ortiz, just a little bit. He was aboard today. Just a little bit had to use her just to get her in a better position. She's not one that wants to sit 5 behind. She wants to be sitting right on the tail of leaders and try to power on. And she was able to get a good position between horses onto the backstretch, at least least to where she was right behind the leaders, and she just didn't really have the kick. Now, you look at her last race, which was a huge effort off a layoff. She only had 3 works leading up to the race. Maybe she regressed a little bit off that race. It's also a possibility, and I've said this before, that maybe Nitrogen could just be a better filly on the grass. I've always thought that her grass races were a little bit more impressive than her dirt races. She did win a dirt race by 13 over the wet going at Saratoga, but she was only facing 2 other horses, and horses that are much inferior to her. So I thought Nitrogen, yeah, she didn't get the perfect trip, but she had a right to win the race, and she didn't. It'll be interesting because they're putting her in the Apple Blossom Stakes next, according to trainer Mark Cassie. I would probably try to bet against her that day. We'll see what kind of field is assembled there next month, but if she does run in the Apple Blossom, I'd probably try to beat her, and if she doesn't run that well in the Apple Blossom, I would imagine that this filly could get back to turf. If she runs well in the Apple Blossom, wins the race, they'll probably keep her to dirt because all the big money's on the dirt. Finally, Lacara, she has been retired since this race here. She ran 5th in the race, and Lacara was one who she went to the lead, got a clear lead, and just no excuses. Over a speed bias course as well. I thought the track this day, Saturday, was playing to speed. So Lacara, not really one that took her form from 3 to 4 in a positive direction, and it has been announced the last 24 hours or so that Lacara has been retired and will move on to the breeding shed to be a mom. So those are sort of your main contenders and how they ran in the Azeri. Majestic Oops for sure, and also Nitrogen pointing for the Apple Blossom next month, our marquee route race for filly and mare routers. Should be a fun edition of the Apple Blossom next month. We'll look forward to that. After race number 9, there was one more big effort. It came in race 10. It was an allowance going 2 turns, and Publisher, who ran in last year's Arkansas Derby, was the runner-up. Here he is, winning again. He broke his maiden with a 91 buyer, came back here with an 89 figure, so he basically ran very close to his maiden win in terms of speed alone. Look, you watch this replay here, and I think this was a classic case of a horse who was basically trying to pull himself up once he hit the lead. There was a horse to his inside, Dr. Storm, who made a move to come and get him and actually headed Publisher at the 16th pole. Then you see Eric Asmussen give a couple cracks of the whip, and Publisher really re-engaged and won. This horse has been knocking on the door for a win before his last race, and he broke his maiden, and then he comes right back and wins again. What I liked about this effort is that he showed the ability to kick on and win, and he wanted to, and when Eric asked him to accelerate after he sort of stuck around with his friend Dr. Storm and let Dr. Storm get an easy lead there at the 16th pole, he dug in. So this was a very good effort from Publisher. He's a horse that's really figuring things out. Imagine this, if this is a horse that's happy to let other horses pass, and yes, he won the race, but he still doesn't really have that alpha mentality, it appears, at this point. He's a horse that's still learning about what racing's all about, but he really kicked it in here. And if he has this just on raw ability, imagine what he'll be like if he has really the lust to win, if he's a horse that will do everything to win a race. Once he gets to there, he's going to be just fine. But this horse has a lot of raw ability. This is what this effort tells me. A lot of raw talent here. They haven't tapped into it fully, but they're getting there, going in the right direction, as we talk about with most of the horses when we go over wins here, going in the right direction. Publisher, that's what I got out of this. $600,000 sale purchase by American Pharoah. He's made more than that at this point in his career. Then we turn the page to Sunday afternoon, the last racing day we saw here this past week at Oaklawn. And in race number 1, Steve Asmussen, Eric Asmussen, they teamed up right where they left off with Publisher. Taptastic, this gray horse right here on the screen, getting the win. First time starter here, had a bullet work out of the gate, going 6 furlongs at the fairgrounds in Louisiana, and Steve string there, which is not something you see often. This guy got a lot of experience out of this. As you can see, he got sort of pinned in behind horses turning for home, and once he found a seam, he took off. What I loved about this horse's race was that showing of him being able to deal with adversity, but also a horse that on the gallop out, this horse had the ears pricked. He was moving well and he was moving strong. This horse has a lot of stamina, a lot of air, and a lot of talent, I think. He's a son of Tappet out of a grade 3 winning, grade 1 placed mare, Valadorna, who has produced 2 winners that are siblings to this horse as well, including the grade 2 placed Tuscan Gold and Breeders' Cup Classic participant. Contrary Thinking, we saw him at Del Mar this November. Taptastic is a horse that clearly has ability in the post parade. He was a little bit stirred up. He was with the pony, but he had to remove himself from the rest of the field here in terms of in a line in the post parade because he was getting a little bit feisty. He's a son of Tapit, and sometimes the Tapits mentally, it takes him a little while to figure everything out, to get sorted out mentally. But I think this horse has ability, and I think Steve worked this horse 6 furlongs out of the gate because he knew this horse had ability. He wanted him as cranked as possible in the mornings to get a win, and that's what I read into it. That's why I picked him, and he won. Now, he beat older horses as well. He didn't face restricted 3-year-olds here. Horses with experience. A few of them are professional maidens, but this horse, a lot of raw ability, similar to Publisher, but unlike Publisher, who's had a lot of races, this was just his first start. So I think Taptastic has a lot of room to grow, and he comes out of that first race, maiden special weight, going a mile. That was race number 1 on Sunday. Finally, race 8, Stars and Stripes. He was the star, really, of the day, I thought. Got a 96 buyer for this allowance win here. It was a second-level allowance, another Bill Mott winner here at Oaklawn this week. A son of Not this time. He's always been well thought of. He wants to run all day. If you see here, Luis Saez really got after him early into the far turn, and he just kept on going, kept on chugging along. This horse is sort of a perfect, to me, throwback horse that wants to go a mile and an eighth. This was a 9 furlong race, mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter. This is what this horse wants to run. I think running a distance like a flat mile, maybe even a mile and a 16th, maybe some horses with a bigger kick might outkick him a little bit, which we've seen from him in the past. But this horse wants to run all day, and once he gets rolling, he gets rolling. I thought the runner-up, Gunrunner Charlie, considering Stars and Stripes with that big buyer speed figure in mind, I thought Gunrunner Charlie for trainer Peter Miller ran a really good race here, but was just second best to a horse that I'd imagine they're going to look at some sort of overnight stake. Maybe they'll bring him back here in an overnight stake down the road for horses that have yet to win a sweepstake. Seems like it'd be a good spot for him to keep on rolling. Obviously, he's a horse that when you look at Bill Mott's top horses, Baeza now in Bill Mott's barn, Sovereignty, of course, he's projected to run in the Oaklawn handicap. Not at their level. This horse finished right behind Batten Down, who came right back to win going a mile and a half. Actually finished ahead of him in a second-level allowance in Florida. Just narrowed him out for second. Obviously, this horse has yet to prove that he's a grade 1 caliber horse, but is he a grade 3 type at this point? Probably. He has earned a good speed figure here, and he's a horse, like I said, they've always thought a lot of him. That's Stars and Stripes from race number 8, Luis Saez aboard. Good luck to Luis. Luis, since this past weekend, has shipped his tack back to Florida before the Keeneland meet. He had a good meet here with agent Kieran McLaughlin, and we wish him the best of luck as we go farther towards the East Coast with him. Upcoming races this week, we've got a few of these to go over, not too many. We're going to start on Thursday's race number 8. It's a non-3 lifetime allowance race. Here's the field here. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up sprinting. Non-3 life, that means all these horses here have won twice. They have yet to win 3 times, and the even money morning line favorite, Beauty Reigns, for trainer Bill Mott. Here's another one of those Bill Mott horses coming into Oaklawn, ready to rumble. She comes off a 3rd place finish in the grade 1 test at Saratoga in August. That was a 7 furlong event. She's going 6 furlongs here. Hasn't raced since then. A daughter of Into Mischief making her 4-year-old debut. Jaime Torres has the call for Bill Mott. From post position number 4, Beauty Reigns. She's going to be tough in this race. Now, the way Bill Mott's horses are firing, I'm imagining she's going to get bet just like the morning line indicates. Speed figures indicate she's faster than the rest in here. So Beauty Reigns, she's going to be tough if she's ready to run well off the shelf. Obviously, if she can run well here, they're going to point for bigger and better things. So she doesn't necessarily need to win this race. I'm sure Bill Mott just wants to get a good race under her belt, get her conditioning in. She might be classy enough, good enough anyway, to win this event as well. Fast forwarding to Saturday afternoon, race number 8, one of 2 stakes races on the program, the $150,000 Purple Martin Stakes. Here is the field for that. 3-year-old fillies in this race. A few very interesting 3-year-old filly sprinters, and we'll start off talking about River Wind for trainer Norm Cassie. Draws the rail here, so needs to work out a good trip, but she earned an 83 buyer speed figure on debut. Here's the replay. Ramon Vasquez aboard here. she won easily, and she had more in the tank here. Norm Cassie really had her cranked up, ready to go first out, and boy, did she fire. Real big filly. She's got some size to her, and she certainly built like a sprinter just looking at her last time out on the track. River Wind, if she can run back to this, first start against Winners, first start here against Winners. I'm thinking River Wind will be just fine in this field, but again, she needs to sort of show that maiden win was no fluke. And she needs to work out a good trip from the rail. We've talked about it. Being inside of horses, you got to break well. It's a little bit easier in terms of pressure to deal with outside stalking than it is, for example, to be inside of horses pressuring you. But River Wind, I'm very intrigued to see how she runs against Winners, because off that first race, there's no doubt she's got talent. Goodall is another one that has talent for trainer Steve Asmussen. Let's take a look at her replay here. This was in Louisiana at the fairgrounds. $525,000 sale purchase for owner Spendthrift Farm. This was her second lifetime race. Her first race, she got bet, and it looked like she was going to win turning for home, and then she got a little bit tired. This race, she had a little more kick down the lane and was still able to win the race. Off these two, I think Goodall beat a stronger group of horses, but River Wind was more physically impressive. But both runners have ability, both runners sprinters, it appears. I don't think Goodall wants to run far, at least in this point in her career. She looks like one that needs to stay at one turn. River Wind, also one built sort of like a sprinter. We'll see, but for now, one race at a time, we'll look at those two as just maiden winners, now proven winners here in the Purple Martin. I think both of them could fare well against the others assembled in here. One runner that has faced proven winners is Our Two Girls for trainer Kenny McPeak. Second off a layoff here. This runner was actually DQ'd for the win. I had heard that the barn really liked this filly going into her last race. She'd worked 3 times, 3 furlongs, 4 furlongs, 5 furlongs, heading into a race in which she was DQ'd. And she drifted out under the left-handed encouragement at the 16th pole. And I'm not really sure if the runner-up who was DQ'd, or I should say was promoted to first via DQ, I don't know if she would have gotten by her, but it would have been really, really tight. I don't disagree with what the stewards were doing by disqualifying this filly, but Our Two Girls is one who's certainly showing in that last race that she can get something out of that fitness-wise. They ran her in this race off a few-month layoff. She comes back, and as I said, she made a big move on the turn, took the lead, got tired in the final 16th. I think the conditioning caught up to her. But we also saw with Nitrogen in the Apple Blossom, a filly, sort of in the same scenario. First start off a layoff, she was a little light on fitness, still won, and then she wheeled back and regressed. I could see two things happening. Our Two Girls can get a lot out of that last race, which was only a few weeks ago, and she can come back and run better and win, or she could regress after trying really, really hard just a few weeks back for trainer Kenny McPeak. But all three of these fillies that we mentioned, main contenders in the Purple Martin, going to be a fun race. I think a very competitive edition of the 2026 Purple Martin for 3-year-old fillies. Race number 10 on the program. Let's take a look at this feature race of the week, the $250,000 Grade 3 Whitmore for sprinters 4-year-olds and upward. And trainer Chris Hartman, he's got a strong 1-2 punch here. Tejano Twist number 3, Wendelson number 1, ran 2nd and 3rd respectively to Roll on Big Joe in the King Cotton Stakes, which is a big sprint stake here, and returns in this spot the Whitmore. Let's take a look at Tejano Twist's last win. He's figured to be the favorite in this race, I think. Wheels back in just 13 days, pretty quickly for Chris Hartman, from this off-the-pace score. It was an allowance race, a dated allowance, and he defeated last year's Count Fleet winner Booth. Now, what I liked about this race was his kick he showed. Flavian Pratt has ridden him twice. He was aboard this day. Francisco Arrieta will be back aboard this weekend. He got a perfect trip. Super fast pace, really fast pace, and this horse got everything his own way to run on into it the way he likes to, which is sit off, make a run into a fast pace, and one for fun. If he can get a fast pace this time around and run like this, he's going to be tough to hold off. Thing is, though, I don't think the pace is going to be nearly as fast in this race. So with that in mind, Tejano Twist is one that I think is beatable in this race, but I do think he's one of the better horses in the race. Also entered, we have Rivet and Bourbon Bash, 2 Steve Asmussen entrants. Recent allowance winner, Tough Catch is a little bit interesting to me. Let's take a look at his replay here. Luis Saez was aboard this afternoon. Obviously, he won't be aboard this time around. But this horse had pressure on the lead over a wet track, went very quick, 21 and change, 44 and change. And this horse just kept grinding. Really good effort for trainer Dallas Stewart here. And with not as much pace, for example, as we saw in Tejano Twist last win, maybe Tough Catch can go out there and get brave again. He's facing a tougher group in here. This will be a good class test for Tough Catch, but I'm intrigued by him as well off this nice win here, what I call a very gutsy, gritty, determined win for Tough Catch, who kept rolling. Has taken a month since that last hard effort, so he's had plenty of time to recover since that hard effort. So you've got Tough Catch, you've got Wendelson, who's a nice proven stakes horse. Tejano Twist, of course, he's done nothing much wrong here at Oaklawn over the years. The $250,000 Grade 3 Whitmore, that's race number 10 on the program on Saturday. Finally, I've got a Denny's Clocker pick of the week for you. Let's get to it. We go to Sunday. Let's take a look at this field. It's a good field. This is race 6 on Sunday. Maiden special weight horses here, 3-year-olds at 6 furlongs. A lot of talent, it appears, here in this race. A couple of high-priced purchases, including my Clocker pick, number 1, American Man. 4-trainer Dallas Stewart will stay on the Stewart train here while the iron's hot. Hopefully he can keep rolling. American Man, let's take a look at his last workout. Actually, it was his second to last workout on February 26th. Here he is working solo. $475,000 purchase here. He was a 2-year-old in training, so he trained over the track at the sale ring that they were selling him at. They watched him work. They bid up to $475,000. Not a bad price. Obviously, he worked pretty good. Son of McLean's Music. He's got sprint pedigree. So I think that he will be ready to roll first time out, inherits that inside post, especially with a first-time starter. It'll be interesting to how he deals with that. Can he break out of the gate well? If he doesn't, is he going to get caught behind horses? Trip is a question. I have no question that this horse has talent, though, as you can see. Going well. He's got a good stride to him. He's had plenty of works leading up to this race. I think Dallas Stewart, just looking at the work pattern, I think he's trying to get this horse fit, ready to win first out because he has ability. I like this horse. I think he's working like a horse with ability here. I just like his stride. He runs like a sprinter. And one thing I've also noted about his works, and if you watch back late in the work and all of his works on Oaklawn.com, go to Oaklawn.com to find workout videos each and every day that we post of different horses. Every time this horse has worked at the end of his drills, his riders had a hold on him, hasn't been asking him for much. So he's got some fast times on the page. This horse is clearly doing it on his own. He's got speed. I think he's going to show that speed if he can break well out of the gate. And I like him. American Man, number 1, race 6 on Sunday. You want to watch out for him as my Clocker pick. That'll do it for another edition of Out of the Starting Gate. I'm track announcer Matt Dinerman, wishing you a very good week. We will see you next week for another edition of Out of the Starting Gate. But for now, we've got 4 racing days, Thursday through Sunday this week. First post will be 12:30 each and every day. Enjoy the racing week, and we'll see you next week on another edition of Out of the Starting Gate.